welcome to our webinar today on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. We're super excited to have our guest, Nick Williams, who is the founder of Childcare Business Growth. And one of the biggest topics that we hear when we're talking to not only our members, but when we're out and working with other individuals at conferences, the biggest thing that we hear is, help me, I need hiring, I need retention, and we are here to kind of shed some light on that today. So welcome, my name is Nicole Farkas. I will be your MC for today. And I always like to stress in the beginning of this, please, we like these to be interactive. We want to hear from you. So to start off, those of you, thank you who have joined, but in the chat, please let us know who you are, where you're from. It's always interesting to see, across the country, and we've even had some from Canada that joined in. So again, my name is Nicole Farkas, and I'm a senior member advocate here at Inspire Care 360, and we are so excited to have you on board. Nancy Thomas from Duluth, Minnesota, welcome. We've got North Carolina representing. We've got Stella from Houston, Texas. Glad to have you on board. We're super excited about today. And like I had mentioned, one of the big things that, are part of the conversation that is just ongoing. Milwaukee, nice to meet you. We've got, let's see, Scranton, California, Payson, Utah, nice to have you on board. We're excited to have you guys here. So today our webinar, as I mentioned, Nick Williams, we're very fortunate to have him as our guest today, founder of Childcare Business Growth. He's going to share his insights, strategies, stories, because we want to help you to overcome the obstacles of finding and attracting the best staff in our industry, not just people to fill seats. So we're super excited to have him, like I had mentioned. Sarah, my partner in crime here behind the scenes, you're going to be seeing some information from her as well, as she puts up different links and stuff like that, you can reach out to Chris and see, or I'm sorry, Nick, and see what he's all about. And some of the things that we're going to be talking about today and what you're going to learn is how to stand out and appeal to candidates in multiple ways. Because at the end of the day, you're really not just filling a role, you're investing in buying back your time. So having good employees, good staff frees you up to do your job. As I had mentioned, my name is Nicole Farkas. I am your senior member, or I'm the senior member advocate here at Inspire Care 360. My email's here. If you have questions, we definitely encourage you to, send us in the chat. Feel free to utilize the Q&A area. We will do our best to answer all your questions, whether they're to Nick or to Tony. So as I mentioned, welcome. We're so excited to have you here today. Part of the agenda is we're going to do some IC 360 housekeeping, as Tony says, it pays the bills, plus an introduction of our guest. And again, we love to have an open discussion. So I can't stress enough. Don't be shy. This is your time. These webinars are for you. So please utilize the chat, utilize the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. We will do the best to get back to you. And then, ultimately, we will talk a little bit about Inspire Care 360. One of the super great things about these webinars is not only do you learn, but you get a CEU certificate. So you've got, Sarah put that right in the link. We will continue to post that in the link. But if you just want to click on that, we will be able to get you the application so that you can get your credits for the CEU. One real quick comment is that we're super excited that we are continuously adding new states. And, if you follow us on Facebook or our website, we do have the states available that, will give you additional CEU credits through our Inspire University. So we're excited about that as well. Today, Tony, as always, is our wonderful host. He is the founder and CEO of Inspire Care 360. Tony, how you doing today?
Nicole, how are you? Thank you so much for the introduction.
Doing good. Yes. And, just for our staff, like I'd mentioned in previous webinars, but if this is your first one, he is the owner and operator here too of 3 early learning schools. So we drink our own Kool-Aid, as we like to say. So utilize Tony, utilize Nick. That's what we're all about today. So Tony, I'm going to hand the torch over to you. And we're super excited to have everybody on board today.
Thank you graciously and thankfully, Nicole, for welcoming everybody here. I know people are still popping on. So thanks, Nicole. Appreciate your time on that. Nicole will also be in the background answering your questions in the chat function. And again, if you put questions out there, put them into the Q&A so we can see those come across. The chat has a lot of things going back, and we do encourage people that if they do have ideas that they want to share with each other, or there's an opportunity to have an exchange, that's a great area for the chat. But if you are looking to get information across to Nick and or myself, please use the Q&A. And we're going to move forward here. We're going to jump right into it. So a few things in our own housekeeping is we do publish ebooks. And the reason that we do this is we do love to give back to the community. And this is some of the ebooks. Our most recent one is on building trust with your staff. Our series of ebooks that is also on our website that is free of charge for you to download is a whole series that really is about the engagement of your team and how to truly engage your staff, from recruitment to bringing them on, to the performance management, to the career cycle, to the whole cycle with an employee being with you. This one we happen to build on building trust is honestly a key issue to developing the long-term and longevity of that relationship with that staff member. So please engage and take a look at that book if you would like to. And it's, again, free for you. And I'm pretty sure Sarah will be putting a link in the chat so you can get directly to it. And there we go. There's for the link in the chat. Now, we've done this before last time, and we're going to do it again this time. We do have a little video to show you to introduce, for those of you who are not aware of Healthy Advantage. We went out several years ago now. It's actually, I shouldn't say several. It was really about 2.5 years ago. And, owning and operating schools like I do, in addition to having Inspire Care 360, we really struggle. We struggle with the fact of offering a healthcare program that does not have super high deductibles, anywhere from $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, even $7,000 these days, as well as very high premiums. People come in wanting healthcare and honestly needing healthcare too. But then we offer them a major medical plan, and even though the school is being, you're being very generous if you can even offer a major medical plan, which a number of us can't really afford to do that, but you're being very generous in doing that. But unfortunately, a lot of times people can't afford to either take it on because the premiums are too high, or even they're just paying the premiums, and they still have to pay for upwards of the first $6,000. That's very difficult. So I'd like you to learn about what Healthy Advantage is, and we'll talk more about it in a second. So I'm going to play this video for everybody.
As a childcare business owner, your employees are your most valuable asset. But how do you provide affordable and accessible healthcare benefits to retain and recruit the best staff? Major medical is outrageously expensive with high premiums and high deductibles. But there's a solution. Inspire Care 360's Healthy Advantage is here to provide you and your employees with qualified plans, including 5 tiers of coverage, with Telemed, Basic, Virtual, Ultra, and Ultimate. Give your staff options from basic preventative care all the way up to $15 office visits, specialist visits, and so much more. We also offer dental and vision, hospitalization, maternity, medical recovery, critical illness, and group life insurance. Don't miss out on the chance to provide your team with the affordable and accessible healthcare they deserve. Contact us today to start your healthcare journey with Inspire Care 360's Healthy Advantage.
And thank you very much for looking at that. That is something that we will put a link in the chat. If Sarah, you don't mind putting our email, if anybody is interested in learning more about that. Again, highly affordable. We talked about it for owners to offer this for the first 10 people It's $50 per person as the owner premium. Super low when you consider splitting the cost of a major medical program, where it's almost $400 for an individual and higher in some states. So that's significant where the owner will be saving. And then the cost for the staff is very low when you look at it per paycheck. Overall cost. It's super flexible. They have options. It's not just one program that they must take. They have options of 4 different programs, or you can offer a telemedicine program that's very inexpensive. $15 office visits, $15 specialist visits without any deductibles. Yes, this is a deconstructed major medical program. So what they can do is they can add on voluntary or supplemental programs, like down here you see with hospital indemnification, but also there's dental and vision and a number of other things. This program also comes with your full benefit team, so you do not have to roll it out. Our team rolls it out in concert with you, but we do all the heavy lifting. We also help set it up for payroll. We also help set it up so it communicates through our online app of Employee Navigator. It also meets compliancy for the Affordable Care Act. So if you are creeping up on 50 FTEs, this is a very good program to really take a look at. And again, we do need some runway. So if you're like, oh, my benefits are coming up, I'd love to redo this, contact us sooner than later to look at getting it set up, because we do have to do things like census and really take a look at your marketplace to make sure everything would work just perfectly fine for you. But Healthy Advantage is a fantastic solution. Right now, we have about 60 different companies who are taking advantage of it through us. So they're benefiting. Long-term, hopefully you can benefit from it too. We also want to introduce to people Peak Performance. We are doing different things in Inspire Care 360 throughout the industry that I don't think anybody else is really doing. And one of these areas is Peak Performance. Let me just tell you quickly a little bit about it. I'm also going to run a little video. And the reason I run the videos is sometimes they're a little crisper than some of the things I can even say. But what Peak Performance really does for you is it significantly saves your director and your administrator's time. There's a lot of effort that goes into setting expectations, making sure people start to get on the right path for their own personal development, whether it be your compliance training, whether it be the professional development training. This automates your CEU training. Whatever state you're in, this can automate that process for you. It automates your performance management. So instead of having to do 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, or even 1 year, and going and doing these very long, exhaustive performance management reviews, this program automates that. And also it automates your performance merit review process. And what is the difference? Well, the merit review is how people are rewarded for how they perform. This actually automates that process so people can have the opportunity to make their own increases to their rewards, their salary, and other things. So with that saying, it's tying it all together for accountability for their performance. So let's watch a little video here and learn a little bit more about it.
With Inspire Care 360 Peak Performance Certification, owners will empower administrators and teachers to further their growth in careers. Motivated team members focus on the 6 C's of peak performance: core values, conduct, compliance, curriculum, careers, and culture to become competent and develop strong child care professionalism characteristics. Team members work through learning and experience pathways to know, understand, demonstrate, apply, and teach what they have learned. Teachers and administrators follow a peak performance roadmap. Every participant works to achieve mastery levels of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Levels 1 through 2 are compulsory and get to the level of understanding of the 6 C's. Team members who take the voluntary mastery levels 3 and 4 will demonstrate and apply their knowledge at the school, and level 5 staff can successfully teach skills to other team members. As team members complete peak performance milestones, they feel a sense of accomplishment as well as rewarded by what their school deems appropriate, such as additional wages or PTO with each level achieved. Peak Performance Certification is an indicator of high-quality professionalism, care, and early childhood education services that your school provides. Peak Performance recognizes the accomplishment of each team member and promotes their success with rewards, badges of accomplishment, and made fun and competitive through leaderboards. Gamification of the programs provides teamers the motivation and takes the burden off of administrators with automatically identifying accomplishments for schools to celebrate their teammates. Motivate and celebrate your team as they all become superstars with Inspire Care 360's Peak Performance Certification.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your patience and taking a look at that video. That was about peak performance again, and it is something that I think, there's a lot of information, but it actually comes with our overall membership. So if you are part of our membership, there is no additional cost. Soon enough, you'll have Peak Performance Plus, where you can add in your own content, as well as in the near future, we are going to have an option that Peak Performance will be tied into CDAs. So you'll be able to have your staff members actually go through that program and earn their CDA at the same time. So that will be coming up in the very near future. But for now, it's time for us to introduce our guest, our wonderful guest. His name is Nick Williams. Why don't you come on video, Nick, if you can, and that would be fantastic. There he is. How are you, Nick?
I'm good, Tony. Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate being here and say nice to see everyone. Hope you guys are having a great day.
Well, and I'll tell you, I'm really excited to have Nick. Nick is just close to us. He's just slightly across the pond from us in the UK, which actually I'll be going to that side next week for a little R&R. And he's supposed to hook me up with a restaurant still. So I know that I'm waiting on that one.
Yes, I need to. I need to. You just reminded me.
Yeah, don't forget that now, my friend. So
I won't.
Nick and I come from a little bit of a similar background in the sense of how we got in this, because we've had our own childcare businesses, which I still do, and he still is engaged. And Nick then out of that saw a need, and he started really focusing on that. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about himself and his business a bit, but he has a great deal of experience and depth. And what I really love about getting to know Nick over the past year, even though this is as close as we've met, we haven't had face-to-face yet, but I'm going to be at his conference, which is coming up. And if you wait till the end, we actually have a special for anybody who's on here that you may want to really take advantage of. So I really hope you just, take some opportunity to not only hear this great presentation from Nick, but to learn a little bit about what he is trying to do, where he is also trying to, as I say, high tides raise all ships. He is very much cut from a similar cloth. He's really investing in the industry because he knows that this industry has a great opportunity to grow. And at the end of the day, we're there to help the kids in our classrooms to be amazing. So Nick, welcome.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate you being here today. So do you want me to start to share, Tony?
Absolutely. Okay? Let me do this. Let me come off the share button here, and then you can go ahead and share your screen here.
Okay, I appreciate that. So screen 2, let's go here. We will pick up from here. So hey, everyone, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as I can, but as most importantly, as concise as I can, to give you actionable steps on every slide that you can take away and put in your business. One of the things I try to do as well is I like to get interaction, just to make sure you guys are still with me and you're picking up on those points as well. So I'm going to spend over the next 30 minutes or so going through this presentation, giving you points to take away, and hopefully you're going to get lots and lots of value. I won't bore you with this, but I think it's really important to, to have an understanding. Why should I be listening to some English gentleman that's talking to me about running my childcare business, and most importantly, how to get really good quality staff? Well, my wife and I have been in the industry for over 15 years. We've had our own childcare centers, 8 different holiday clubs, 4 before and after school locations, and our own training academy. We lived and breathed this for many, many years. We understand what you guys are going through. And what we're on a mission to now, this is our team as it stands. I think we've actually grown now with 28 now, but we're on a mission to help 100,000 childcare providers worldwide. And we provide a totally done for you marketing service, which we'll touch on maybe at the end. But anyway, the big point right now is to talk about recruitment. And what I'm going to share with you is our model in terms of how you should recruit, okay? Or at least some of the steps that you can follow and maybe add these to what you're already doing right now. So one of the big things I think it's important to point out, and I picked this up from Dan Martell, you're not just hiring to fill a role, you're actually hiring to buy back your time. I speak to a lot of business owners that tell me well, I'm not in a position to hire right now because of, costs and everything else. But what you've got to look at is 80% done by someone else is 100% awesome. And what I mean by that is, if you can get someone to do those lower level skills, those lower level tasks, it frees you up to focus on the bigger priority projects that will really help to drive your business forward, okay? So I'm going to just share a really quick example with you guys. Let's move my chat out of the way. Okay, so one of the ways, if you don't know, I'm just going to ask you guys, I like to get lots of interaction. How many of you have ever used this formula to calculate your buyback rate? Give me a yes or a no in the comments if you have ever used this to calculate your buyback rate. Give me a yes or a no. I just want to make sure you guys are with me. So as we're doing that, as you guys are going to feed, so no, okay, good. So hopefully this will give you a formula. You can take a screenshot now. Obviously, you'll get the slides off the back of this. This is really, really important for you guys to do. So
Hey, Nick.
an average person, okay, I know we're not average, we probably work a lot more than this, but an average person basically should be looking at your total income, so car allowance, salary, any other income that you get, and dividing that by 2,000 hours, okay? And that will basically give you your hourly rate. So let's imagine, all money in together, you're getting 80,000 a year right now. Dividing that by 2,000, okay, gives you $40 an hour. And what we need to do from that point is we then divide that by 4, and that will give us our buyback rate. And what that basically means is we shouldn't be doing anything that we can get someone else to do for that buyback rate. Now, I appreciate $10 an hour isn't a lot, but it's really, really important for you guys to start to consider how you buy back your time to free you up to focus on other priorities, okay? And I don't just mean in the business, I mean things such as house cleaning, gardening, all those other elements that surround your life, those things that you're involved in, you should be looking at how to buy back your time. So that was just my first nugget for you guys to take away. Let's get into the next one. Oh, my slides are jumping slightly. So quick question for you guys. Let me know, one of the big things I always ask people when you attend a webinar like this, what burning questions do you have? Okay, because what I don't want to do is get through this presentation and get right to the end and realize there was those 1 or 2 questions that we didn't answer. So if you've got any questions, as Tony's mentioned, just drop them in the comments as we go, and we will make sure we get those addressed for you. But just let me know, what is your #1 pain point or your #1 question to do with hiring? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, we don't have time to go into this into great detail, but one of the biggest things I want to point out to you guys is this issue around it all starts with your why. If you've ever seen that quick TED talk by Simon Sinek, he talks about what is your reason why. And the problem is most people understand what they do, they understand how they do it, but they don't actually understand or they don't explain enough why they do it. Why are they different? Why are they different to everyone else? Why are they different to the local provider down the road? And it sounds really obvious, but the question is, do you include that in your marketing strategy when you're actually looking to get new staff on board into your business? So one of the things I want to encourage you guys to do, because I'm going to show you an example on the next screen that will point this out. You need to be clear on your why. You need to be clear on exactly who you're looking to serve. And of course, you need to have those core values, because one of the big things that people are looking for now is not only millennials are looking for a sense of belonging, a sense of core values, you've got other generations now, new generations that are looking to be a part of something more, looking to give back, looking for more contribution. So I want to encourage you guys to start to think about when you put out job descriptions and when you run paid ads or anything like that around recruitment, don't just focus on the basic job descriptions, okay? So that's another takeaway. Make sure you start to include this, because people are actually starting to pay attention to now why I should go and work for this company in the first place. So one of the biggest things I want to point out to you, and it sounds obvious, is unfortunately, 99% of people when it comes to staff recruitment are all doing the same as everyone else, okay? So my point to you is, have you actually spent some time looking at the job descriptions other people are doing, looking at the video ads that they're running, looking at the websites that they're using to get those vacancies filled? Because majority of the calls, and I mean this with the greatest respect, but the majority of calls and the majority of business owners I speak to are not doing anything different to anyone else. So I want to encourage you guys, one of the actions to take away of this is spend time looking at your competition and actually think about, are you raising your hand that little bit further to differentiate yourselves from everyone else too? Next one. So here are two simple examples. And these are actually job descriptions that we use. The one on the right is my job description. The one on the left is from a competitor. And immediately, just within the first second, you can see differences, okay? You can see differences straight away, because on the left-hand side, we have a very basic, pretty standard Indeed job application. On the right-hand side, I'm already capturing people's attention. And one of the big things you'll see if you were to compare these, and you'll have the slides to be able to do this, but if you look at this job description on the left-hand side, the first thing they go into is, the job description, they go into the requirements and everything else. But if you look at my job description in comparison to this, it's different to everyone else straight away. Because you'll notice that even on this first page, there's no actual job description. There is no job description. I haven't even got to their day-to-day responsibilities yet. I've talked about everything that we're about as a business, because this stems back to what I mentioned earlier: vision, values, why, all those points that no one pays attention to. But if you think about the generation we're working with right now, these are the things that they're interested in. They don't just want to work for another company. Tony's mentioned this before, they can go and jump ship. They can go and work at another childcare provider across the road because they're willing to pay them $1 more an hour. We have to get back to the fact that it's not just about the monetary value. It's about the sense of belonging. It's about the values. It's about what you're about. It's about your reason why, okay? So I want you guys to use, sorry, Tony, you have a question about that one?
I'm just going to reinforce what you're saying here. One of the areas that you and I are exactly on the same page with, and people, when you take a look at this, you go, yeah, it's interesting, but we really have to get to the point. But Nick is spot on when you think about it. You can pull up on Indeed, you'll see ad after ad after ad that looks just like this. Now, maybe you can, maybe you can't use emojis or what have you, we have here. But what Nick has really done here, which I just absolutely love, is he is focused on the company's values. And why is that so important? The company's values, I think, are just absolutely critical, because if you want the people who fit, who are not toxic, who don't walk in the front door and eventually walk out the back door, and the people who feel like they're going to belong with you are going to be attracted to exactly what Nick's positioned here. So Nick, just great example.
Appreciate that. So the next one, here are some basics job descriptions that most people include, okay? And I'm not going to bore you with any of these because I want to get straight to the things that you should be doing instead. So here are some simple examples of things you can include. So one of the big ones we use in our childcare business, we call them duvet days. So in other words, they are stay in bed days where every single person that comes to work for us can start the year with 4 extra duvet days. And the way we run this, if you had any time off during a set period, you would lose your duvet day, okay? Now, think about this. There are all different ways that you can run job ads, and I'll give you some more examples later on. But we're looking here to how can we be different. So one of the ads that we ran as a video, we actually got a team member to lie in bed and talk about their duvet days, okay? Now, that might sound crazy to you, but the point I'm making here is that I was willing to go above and beyond and stretch that a little bit further because no one else was prepared to do that, okay? So talk about, there's lots of different examples on here: tier pay, company discounts. Tony talked about the amazing benefits that you get with InspireCare 360. There's tons of extra things here, but the problem is most people don't talk about these, or if they do talk about them, they're very small little bullet points that are included somewhere in the job description or somewhere on the actual page. So I'm going to point out some examples to you shortly of how you can use these more and how you can highlight them more, because there are a percentage of candidates right now that are really paying attention to these additional benefits. So the next one is, how many of you could honestly tell me you have a perfect candidate in mind and you could describe that person to the T. You know, the name of the person, the age of the person. And when I'm talking about candidate here, I'm talking about employee. So give me a yes or a no in the comments if you honestly feel that you could describe your perfect candidate. Give me a yes or no in comments if you could. And I'm going to carry on just because of time. So got for you on the screen right now, I've got 3 different examples of candidates, and I normally spend more time going into these. But my point is, in these 3 people are different age groups, they are different genders, they have different needs, and they have different interests. The gentleman on the left-hand side is someone looking to break into childcare, but is very, very passionate, okay? That was an individual we used to have in our childcare business. The lady in the middle is a lady called Mary that's got 3 children, dad's away a lot, and wants to work part-time. And then the lady on the right-hand side is a lady called Rose that actually wants to work part-time. She's very experienced in the industry, doesn't want to travel far, and is only looking for work during the middle of the day, okay? So the point I want to make to you here is that if I know exactly who my ideal candidates are, there's no point in me just putting out any old job description and expecting it to appeal to each one of these individuals, okay? My point is, if I'm creating a message for Chris, who's the gentleman on the left-hand side, I need to speak to Chris. I need to use testimonials of other gentlemen in the industry, talking about the same points as him. If I want to speak to Mary, I need to tell Mary's story. You know, imagine using a great video of how I can, you know, my name's Mary, I've got 3 children, but I still want to work. I still want to get back in. So when I drop my children off to school, I go and work in the childcare business. You're telling a story. You're speaking directly to Mary. And the last one is Rose. Rose doesn't want to work the start of the day. She doesn't want to work at the end of the day. And there's a specific reason for that. Rose does not want to be out in the dark. Okay. Now, as much as that doesn't sound a big barrier to you, that's a huge barrier to someone like Rose. So the point I'm trying to make for you guys here is that don't just use standard marketing, standard recruitment ads, and expect the message to appeal to the right individual. And I get to a point where people say there's no quality candidates out there, and I completely disagree. The problem is we are not speaking to the right individuals that we want to get into our business in the first place, okay? We're not prepared to raise our hand and stretch that bit further to make sure we separate and differentiate ourselves from the competition. So another point for you to take away here, think about this. You have to think about who is my ideal candidate and how can I craft a message to speak directly to that individual, okay? Now, this has become even easier with platforms now like ChatGPT. I can literally write a basic job description, and I can now say, change this job description to appeal to a lady in her 30s that has 3 young children, only wants to work part-time, etc., etc., etc. It will do it for you, okay? So I want you to start to think about how can you personalize your marketing directly to those individuals. Now, the next big one I want to focus on here is every client we work with, we did this in our business, we build out the sales page. We do the whole thing. So when we have clients that work with us that focus on staff recruitment, we don't just do a standard job ad. We build the whole website specifically for recruitment, okay? Because, you know, if you think about this, again, it comes back to the principle, raise your hand, stretch that bit further. I want to be different to what 99% of my competitors are doing right now, okay? So we build a site that focuses purely on recruitment. There are all sorts of things on here. You'll see all the benefits that are highlighted. They can download a recruitment PDF. There are videos. Yeah, Tony?
Listen, this is fantastic. And I will tell everybody out there that Nick and his company has a very strong program. Nick, if you had someone who was trying to get this started for themselves, where should they start? There's a lot of great content here, but where would you start?
So I'm going to skip on it. I'm going to come back. So here's a really perfect question. Great example. Okay. So the lady on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the pink color background. Okay. This lady literally came to us right at the very start and said, hey guys, I am really struggling for right now for recruitment. I need to hire someone in the next 5 to 7 days, okay? And, you know, whilst I want to get everything else put in place, I just need to get something live right now, okay? And what she did, we actually told her to pick up her phone, and I said, who is the ideal candidate that works in your business right now? Tell me who that person is. And she described this lady amazingly. And this particular lady is in the video, the lady with the pink top on. And she travels to work 45 minutes each way to work every single day, okay? And there are lots of reasons why she did that. I won't go into that. So this is what we did. I said, Asia, go up to the lady and I want you to record a video where you're in the video with her. And I want you to tell a story about this individual and say, hey, everyone, it's Asia here. I want to share this story about this particular lady with you because she is amazing. She is my most valued employee. She does everything. She travels to work. She told the story. And she brought the lady into the video and she said, hey, Rose, I want you to tell everyone why you come and you travel to work 45 minutes to work each day when you could literally go and work at a childcare center down the road. And this lady just said everything for her. She recruited 2 people within 48 hours.
That's amazing.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
So the point I'm trying to make is you just need to be prepared, regardless of whole websites, back-end automations, all that stuff. You can start really easy. I'm going to share one other example with you. We had a client that desperately needed a chef, desperately needed a chef. So what she did, I said to her, I want you to do a video. There were sisters that owned the business. I said, I want you to do a video with the 2 of you in the video, and I want you to cover yourselves in flour, okay? So cooking ingredients. And I want you to have in the background a bottle of wine. Obviously, you're not going to drink it because it's a childcare video and everything else. But I want you to have this video of you guys struggling to cook the food as well as run the business, okay? And the reason why we did this is because people are scrolling through their phones, okay? They're scrolling, and everything is the same. And we have to make people stop and pay attention. So we got the ladies to do this video. We said, hey, if you're a chef or you're a cook or anyone that loves cooking, we really need your help. And there's one of the sisters in the background flipping food. It's going everywhere. But the point I'm trying to make here is that all they did was be prepared to put themselves out there, be a little bit more uncomfortable, recording a quick video, and it didn't cost them anything, okay? So hopefully, Tony, that answers your question, that you can go full end right the way to the other end here.
It absolutely does. And I think the thing that what you're saying is, which I think resonates with me a lot, is being authentic. And really being authentic about who your school is and who your people are. Like right here, talking about having the person who's trying to recruit and her top superstar doing that interview, you can't get more authentic than that. So this isn't feeling like it's ads and glitzy and putting, clip art in there. This is about being very real about what your school is.
Totally. So, the other big one as well, I think there's a misconception. Most people only advertise on one platform. And my question to you is why? I'm going to share an example with you later on where someone applied through Bing, okay? And most people don't even pay attention to Bing these days, but she was a great candidate. And I'll show you how that's tracked shortly. But so video is a big one, okay? Doesn't matter, you don't need all the flash website and everything else, but you do need to be prepared to embrace video, okay? So that's another big one. The other one is, are you incentivizing your team and your parents? Because your team want other great staff, okay? They're fed up of having other people in that just don't cut the cloth. They're just not up to par. So I want to encourage you guys, you should be incentivizing your team. You should be getting your team on board. You should be getting your team to record videos to help you get more staff on board because they feel the pain too, okay? And the same is with the parents. Get your parents involved. Hey, mom, hey, mom, dad, right now we're on a massive recruitment campaign. We want to get more people just like Mary, okay? And is there anyone we give an incentive program. There are all sorts of things you can do here. And the great benefit with this program is You only pay if they make a referral and that person stays with you a minimum of 3 months, okay? Very, very simple to do, very, very effective, very, very easy to put in place. The other big one I find as well is people they only recruit when they need to recruit. So a very quick point here is you should always be recruiting. Do not stop. You should always be looking to build up a pool of candidates where you have that opportunity to go back to candidates when that vacancy comes up. And I'll talk about that later on. So next one, we talked about the importance of building a mini website, all the reasons why you should promote yourself. And the other big one I find right now is make sure whatever you put out online, whether it's your main website, whether it's your ads, whether it is a recruitment site, make sure it is a direct reflection of your business. One of the things you'll see, you immediately can tell by looking at this site, it's a very high-end private school, okay? So it's going to attract a particular type of candidate. So I just want you to bear that in mind, okay? If you're using standard marketing or lots of people are using bog standard stock images right now, use authentic images, authentic videos that are a direct reflection of you and your brand. Spoke about this briefly, staff testimonials, get your team on board because what they say about you is way more important than what you say about yourself. Very easy to get the team to do those videos. Next one. So this is a big one for me. I normally have an image here where we have a huge pile of Lego. And I always ask people, who prefers the pile of Lego or neatly organized piles? And the point I'm trying to make here is, before I go any further, you don't need any flash systems to do this. But how many of you actually have an organized pipeline or an organized system for all your different applicants right now that are applying to work with you? Because what I often find when I speak to business owners and say, okay, well, show me all the applicants that applied for you. And most of them are either paper applications or they came through on an email or they're just a ton of people in Indeed. There's no system to that. So one of the big things we encourage every client to do, you can use an Excel spreadsheet, you can use a Google Doc. You don't need to use anything fancy if you don't want to, but you need to have at least some type of visual aid to know exactly where every single person is in that inquiry or application process. So I'll share an example with you in a second. And I'll tie these two together really quickly. So you need to have a pipeline showing where every person is. But the next thing you should be using is video applications, okay? Think about this. How many times have you thought someone looks really good on paper, but then when you interview them, they're just completely the wrong personality type? Every single one of us can probably relate to that, okay? Give me a one, or if you can relate to that in the comments, because that's a big issue for people right now, is that they think someone looks really good on paper, but when they interview them, they actually realize that the person just culturally or just doesn't have the right personality fit for the business. So what we do, I'm just going to come out to this very, very quickly. And I've blurred the screen so you can't see any contact details, but this is an example of a pipeline. So we have all these different people that have come through the different stages. It's all automated. And one of the big things you'll notice that they've hired 11 people, but more importantly, they've got 29 people saved for the future. So in other words, these were candidates that were ideal candidates, cultural fit, qualification fit, but the hours or the role didn't suit them, okay? So they keep these candidates on file, they've asked for permission, and now what they do, every time they have a new vacancy, they can go out and market that vacancy to a pre-qualified list, okay? So many people right now, every time they have an ad vacancy, they start the process all over again. New vacancy, let's start it all over again. So I encourage you guys to make sure that you put at least some type of basic Excel system in place where you can have that pipeline of people and individuals ready to go back to because they're already on your list. You paid for them. You've got that data there. And what last point is, if I go into this candidate here, one of the things, if I go to her notes section, I will see all of her videos load, which takes me, if I click this one here, it will take me to her video application. So think about this. Tony and I talked about this at the start. there's all, you can have fancy systems in place, but something like this is actually very, very easy to do. You could say to a candidate, hey, we've reviewed your resume, we think you're a good fit, but personality is a massive, important part for us. So what I'd love you to do, first of all, is record a quick video telling me why you'll think you're the perfect fit for the role, okay? You don't need fancy systems to do this. You could literally record a video on your phone right now, and every time someone applies for the job, you send that video to them through WhatsApp. You could use systems like we use, our system, but you don't have to, okay? So that's a big point I want to share with you guys there. Video is vitally important to buy back your time and make sure that they are culturally a fit for you. And one last thing, I'm going to stop sharing my screen really quickly. If you're going to do videos, if you're going to ask candidates to do videos in return, make sure it's a direct reflection of you and your personality. So I had a lady 2 weeks ago who works with us, and I said, I want you to show your personality off. I want you to really sell these vacancies. She goes, I've got this. I'm going to get tons of videos. People are going to want my autograph. Really big hype. And then she sat in front of the camera and said, hello, thank you for applying for a vacancy. And the whole personality thing had gone. It all gone out the window. So the point I'm trying to make here is that if you're going to use video in anything you do, if it's the application videos or just a promo video, make it a direct reflection of you and your personality. Because the last thing, if you're a bright, bubbly person, you don't want probably someone that's actually very shy, timid, isn't culturally a right fit. So hopefully I've got that point across.
Hey, Nick, may I ask you something?
Yeah, of course, carry on.
Let me ask you, you've talked about videos here a few times, and I think that's fantastic. And a lot of us hear about it. I think a number of owner operators out there have thought about doing it, possibly are like, well, I just don't want to mess up or do it right or wrong. If you were to say, and this comes from, your strength in marketing, if you're to look at what are the do's and don'ts when recording a video, whether you're recording someone or you're recording yourself, what would you say are some of the do's when you are doing a video?
The big one is make it informal, okay? So if your personality is vitally important, I've got owners working with us right now that have done videos where they're going, hey, congratulations, I'm so excited to have your application come through, because that is a direct reflection of personality. So number one for me, make it a direct reflection of you and your culture in your business. And number two, tell people it's okay to make mistakes, okay? Because too many people sometimes think that a video is going to be perfectly polished. I've seen video applications from people in their PJs, lying in bed, all sorts of different things. Now, they are not right. But the point I would say to you is just, if you're going to record a video and you're going to ask someone else to record one back for you, just give them the basic do's and don'ts. Hey, I'd love you to do a quick video. All I would say is make sure you look presentable, but just show me your personality, okay? That's it. Just talk to the camera, show me your personality. There's nothing more to it than, I think the biggest piece is, number one video, if you don't get that personality right from day one or in that video, you're not going to get the direct reflection of that personality back from the candidate too.
Excellent. And what would you say are some of the don'ts where you should really avoid when you are doing videos?
Don't go up and film your team and stick a camera in their face and expect them to just reel things off the cuff, okay? Number one, get involved if you can. If that's a direct reflection of your brand, your culture, get involved in the videos, okay? Like the example of Asia I shared earlier. Number two, give them some type of brief, some type of script to follow, at least prompts that they can work with, okay? Just don't overcomplicate it. Don't make it too polished. Make it raw and authentic. And that is a true reflection then of a business, rather than trying to make something too polished where it seems like it's a big corporate environment, okay? So if you're talking about, you think of some of the big chains, every video is corporate, it's very professionally filmed, it's not raw and authentic. So people know it's being staged. So what I would say to you guys is make sure it's raw, authentic, and a direct reflection of you.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, answering that question.
No problem. So quick few tips for interviews, okay? Very, very simple. You can set these up through email. So a couple of 5 points I want to think you guys can put in place. Because lots of people invite someone for an interview, but then the candidate doesn't show because they've accepted another vacancy or they just couldn't be bothered sometimes. So here are some simple steps you can put in place. Number one, send them a video of you and your team that you're excited to meet them. And again, it's showing that culture. Really easy for you to film a video, get your team on board. Number two, sounds crazy, but give them some interview tips, because just because someone isn't great at interviews, does that mean that they're not going to be the right fit for the role? And in my personal opinion, I don't think that's fair to judge on that. So my point is, if someone's, fresh into interviews, maybe they've never done a Zoom interview, maybe they've never done a live interview, say it's okay. Give them some basic guidelines to follow, okay? Next one, send us some photos of your team and the gatherings that you guys go out on. If that's what you do, send them out examples of that. Show them why. Because again, sell the vacancy as much as you can. Don't just assume that because you've invited someone for an interview, they're actually going to turn up in the first place. Zoom interviews, let them pick a time on the calendar. How many times have you tried to call someone to come for an interview and you can't get a hold of them? But that's probably because they're already working in another job where they're working in the daytime. Give them some slots in the nighttime where say, hey, I'm going to give you one slot. You can pick a date and time that works for you, but that's your one chance. If you miss that slot, unfortunately, we won't move ahead with your interview process. And the last one, which has worked massively for tons of our clients, we had a client run what we call a recruitment and free training day recently. They had 67 people turn up on a Saturday morning for one vacancy, okay? One vacancy. And the reason why, they raised their hand, they stretched that bit further. And Tony and the team spoke about this right at the start around getting training. Can you offer people free training opportunities where you can invite them into your business on a weekend and you can actually give them some training where they get to interact with your team? Maybe they're not looking for a job right now, but they might be looking in the future, or they might come into your center and go, oh, wow, this is beautiful. I didn't know what it was like. There's all sorts of potential off the back of that. So free training days, recruitment days, and it all comes down. People say they don't show up. Well, in my opinion, that's because we didn't put enough effort into that in the first place. We didn't differentiate ourselves enough. So here are 5 tips for interviews. Tony, anything on that one?
The one thing I think what I took away from what you're saying with those 5 tips is what you're actually, if I was to consolidate it, is you're offering to the owners and the operators out there to have an experience for that interviewee. Not that they're just applying for the job, but they're actually going to have an experience with you. And it's going to be a unique experience and something where there can be an expectation for a unique experience. Because a lot of times people don't show up because they don't know what to expect. And they're like, path of least resistance. Oh, the local fast food place is hiring. I'm just going to go there. But if they know they're going to have some kind of experience, if they see photos of your team, they're like, that's what I would possibly be doing in the future. I can see myself in a video like that where someone's walking around and we're sort of laughing and joking a bit. I can see myself being part of a recruitment day. That's experience. That's being part of an experience and not a job. And I think that's what these 5 tips says to me.
Yeah, totally. And we are actually in an experience economy now. People are looking for experiences. So the next one I want to move on to is now we talk about the interview process. Now we talk about the offer process. And how many times have you thought you found the perfect candidate, but then for whatever reason, they've gone elsewhere. They've gone to work for another business. They've accepted another job. So the point I would say to you, 3 simple tips. Don't delay. Good candidates go quickly. Follow up and get feedback quickly and incentivize the feedback. We did this for a client recently where a candidate gave feedback and it was horrific feedback about the team, how the team made them feel when they came for the interview. And the great thing was they could leave the feedback anonymously, so they didn't feel that there was any, potential where it would come back on them, okay? And the next one I would say to you guys is make sure you have all the paperwork ready online so you can send out quickly, get that out there. And the biggest one as well is, unfortunately, this is something we see a lot, where people don't give feedback to those unsuccessful candidates, okay? And this is really easy to do. If you've had a candidate for whatever reason you don't think is suitable, you can simply have a web page in your website, record a video. Hey, it's Nick here from Fairy Tales. I just want to say thank you so much for coming to apply for a vacancy with us. But unfortunately, right now, you will not successful, okay? And however, love to keep you on the list for future applications. And now you can do this with 2 different videos. You can do one you want to keep for people that are potential candidates, and another one for those candidates you just didn't think were the right fit, okay? Because the problem is, if you don't give that candidate feedback, negativity will spread quickly. People will talk about you, don't bother going for an interview there, you don't get any feedback, they never come back to you, and so on, okay? So 3 simple tips that you guys can put in place for the offer process. Anything on that one, Tony?
You know what? I think that's fantastic. We're coming down our time here, so we have about 4 minutes left, and I want to make sure you have a chance to talk a little bit about your conference too, so we don't get too consolidated here, and also our giveaway. So let's move forward.
So one quick one, the last part now of the onboarding process, okay? Don't just assume because someone has applied, accepted the vacancy that they're going to start with you. I've seen that lots of times if people don't apply. So number 1, send them a welcome gift, send them a welcome video, pre-onboard them, give them feedback, gradual onboarding, and buddy system, okay? These are simple things you can do. I won't go into any of these in greater detail right now. Of course, Inspire Care 360 have a great program to onboard your staff as well. So for you guys, just the points I would make here is just raise your hand a little bit more and stretch that bit further, because just because someone's accepted the job doesn't actually mean they're actually going to start with you and move forward. One of the big things we do, we actually build team training areas. We don't need to go into that because you guys already do that with Tony. This is one quick thing I'm going to share, Tony, if you don't mind. Very, very interesting task if you've never done this before. What should happen when someone joins your business? They should join you down in the bottom right-hand corner. So they'll be high willing, but they'll be low skilled in your systems and processes. The goal is someone should be moving to the top right as quickly as possible. So they'll be high willing, high skilled. What often happens, people drift to the top left. So they're high skilled, but their willingness drops. And the last thing is, you should never, ever have someone down in the bottom left-hand corner. So one quick thing I want to encourage you guys to do, it's a great little drill to do. Take this away, get a sheet of paper, and plot all of your team on this sheet. And do it separately. Then get your senior team to do the same thing and do them separately and get them to give your feedback. Because I've seen lots of different examples where an owner has rated someone over here, for example, but then the directors rated someone over here. Very, very interesting task to do. And you can include this in your appraisals as well. So last one I would say is motivate and reward. This is a big thing. This is one of our clients. Literally, I screenshot this from our group the other day. Because her team have met their performances, their targets, she's literally paid for a beautiful house. It's on a lake. She's taken her whole team away for a weekend as a thank you. That's a direct reflection of her culture. Another one, this is one of our clients that brought all her team to Orlando last year. And the last one, if you've ever seen anything we do on social, we spin the wheel every single week. We do team member of the week, team winner of the week, employee of the month, and we spin the wheel and they win amazing prizes. And we showcase that on social media. So just to wrap up, here is the essential blueprint in a very quick format of some of the things you guys can put in place in your business. And if you've got any questions, you can feel free to drop me a message. I'll gladly go into any of those in more detail for you.
Do you mind if we send out a slide or two from your deck?
Of course. Yeah, you're more than welcome.
That'd be awesome. And while he's going to the last slide, I want to tell everybody out there what I pulled away personally that I'm going to start doing more of. Individual focus. I'm going to be looking, I keep on looking for cultural fits, so I'm going to continue to do that. Authentic videos.
every single thing you want in the first place. And the last one, if you've ever come across these ladies, the curiosity approach, it's something they're in 31 countries now. It's the first time they're ever going to be speaking in the US. That alone is going to be worth it. And of course, you're going to see Tony there too.
And with that said, if you don't mind, I'm going to share the last screen.
Yeah, of course.
Myself here, back here, we have a special that Nick has allowed us to offer, and it is going to be going also in the chat. And that is that if you would like, you can have $100 off of attending this event. And, you know, I'm going to speak there this year because I had some of my staff go there last year and they came back and they said it was such a wonderful event. I was like, you know what, Nick and I talked, and I think that we have some relevant things to talk about, and it's a great group of people. So, and it's awesome place. The Gaylord Palms is a great place. So we'll send out in the chat, Childcare Business Growth Live. And if that is something that you want to do, I would encourage you. And that's $100 off that Nick is offering anybody from our team. So again, you guys can all have, and before we go into our few things, Nick, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with our audience and giving them some really strong points, really about the whole idea of how to truly differentiate yourself to recruit. So thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. And thank you guys for listening. I appreciate your time. And thank you, Tony, for the opportunity.
Hey, no problem at all. Nick, I know you and I will be talking soon. I'll be seeing you in July. Again, you will get webinar certificates for this. If you want to learn more about Nick or you want to learn more about Inspire Care 360, we will also have this information in the chat. We want to thank everybody for joining us for our executive webinar pop-up series. You know, with having Nick Williams and his organization is one of the many, but I would love to bring new faces to our audience, as well as some of you who have seen Nick and his team before, just to learn new things from him. And so we're very happy to have you. My name is Tony DiAugustino with Inspire Care 360. We wish you all the very best. Have just a wonderful summer until we talk to you next on our next webinar. So thank you everybody for joining us, and just have a wonderful day. Take care everybody, and best wishes. Bye now.